It really does depend on your goals. So if it's, are you trying to elevate student engagement, like kind of brand pride with your students on campus? I feel like short form video is a great way to do that. Or if you're just trying to find new audiences or like increase brand awareness about like, what your university, how it's, creating good in the world. I feel like that's a good way to find those new audiences, but it just depends on what your goals are for sure.
Hey, welcome to the Higher Ed Storytelling University podcast on the EdUp Experience Podcast Network. This is a show dedicated to helping higher ed marketers tell better stories, create better content, and enroll more students. My name's John Azzoni. I'm the founder at Unveiled, and we're a video production company working specifically with college marketing teams to make it easy for them to scale up and even automate their student and alumni success stories through our subscription approach. And you can learn more about that at unveiled.tv, and that's UNVEILD.tv. If you're listening to this podcast for the first time, go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you. And if you're wanting your college or university's content to resonate on a deeper emotional level with prospective students, with alumni, with parents, whatever, I want you to subscribe to my free newsletter. Every week I send out tips and insights on creating more emotionally resonant content, including examples and best practices from other institutions, articles and blog posts, that week's podcast episode, and much more. So head over to unveiled.tv/newsletter and sign up. All right, let's get on with the show. My guest today is Brianna Blackburn. Brianna is the manager of social media strategy at Bowling Green State University, where she leads the BGSU social media team, cultivating an audience of more than 350,000 across platforms. Following a record year of enrollment, Brianna launched one of BGSU's most successful advertising campaigns to date, developed influencer strategies, and led BGSU to be the #1 university in the state of Ohio for percent audience growth in 2023 to 2024 in one of the most saturated regions for public universities in the country. So, Brianna, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me something that that people would be surprised to know about you.
I love the question. Well, I am training for my first full marathon. I
Whoa.
always say if you run, then you're a runner. So I've done a couple half marathons, but I'm trying to get that first full marathon under my belt. And then another thing is I love creating, you know, content on my own personal social media channels, and I love travel. So last summer, I had the opportunity to travel with a company called EF Ultimate Break, and we went all around Europe on it's called their European road trip, and we got to go with my best friend, and it was just amazing. So I love running and travel. Those are kind of two things about me.
That's awesome. Where'd you go in Europe?
We went to a couple countries, went to Swiss Alps, Paris, Amsterdam, London, all around Italy, the Amalfi Coast, Rome. So it was a great summer. I really liked looking at all the marketing in each country and like comparing them because it's just so different than like here in the US. So whenever I travel, I always like to take pictures of like the billboards and things like that. And like
Yeah.
what ads I'm being served even on my phone. So
Interesting.
it's fun.
Yeah, that's like the marketing brain. I always keep track of like I have an album on my phone of like good hooks and bad hooks. So if I see like
Yes.
if I get served like an Instagram ad or something and I'm like, oh, I actually kind of watched like 10 seconds of that. I'm like, I like analyze it and I'll save it and stuff like that.
No, yeah, for sure. I'm the queen of screenshotting and also like Instagram collections. I don't know if you use that, but
Yeah.
I have like so many ideas bookmarked. Even if I don't use like the same trend, just like their hook, I'll definitely draw inspiration from.
And the running thing too. I mean, good for you. I can't. I tried the most I tried was an 8K, and I trained for it, but I trained on a treadmill.
Oh, that's
and
like
then
the worst.
when I went, this was like a long time ago, like 2009 or something like that. And I trained on a treadmill and then did the real thing. And I swear, like a mile into it, I was like, we're about done, right? Like I'm gonna cross the finish line soon. It just felt like the
can
longest.
be how it feels.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm running, I'm like, okay, just like run for 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, and then then you can walk if you need to. But I just keep telling myself, okay, just a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the only way to get through a race.
Well, good for you. I commend you for being able to run that long. Cool. So tell me a little bit about, in your own words, your role at BGSU, how you got there. Give us a little bit of background.
Yeah, so my journey at BGSU really started as a student. I got involved my freshman year with a student organization that led to connection for an internship for the College of Business here at BG. So I did their social media my freshman and sophomore year, and just kind of networked among all the different people in the marketing office, and had some amazing mentors. And then a spot opened up on the parent channels, the official BGSU um, account, doing social media for them. And so I applied and got the role. And so I was an intern for all 4 years of college. Well, 3 years because I graduated early. But and then my senior year, well, actually my junior year, it was COVID. So I was able to work remotely in the internship, and started meeting weekly with our AVP, Amy West. So she kind of oversees our whole office, and she really wanted to, focus more on our social strategy, especially as it pertained to the safety of everyone on campus during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh my gosh, I felt so lucky to be meeting with her. Um, and then they created a new position called social media strategist, and I applied. And I started working right after graduation in January 2021. And so when I first started, it was like a one woman show, hired some interns who, I would not be here without. They were amazing. And then just over the last 3.5 years, we've grown the team. Um, and I oversee 2 full-time strategists, and we have 4 interns. We've got some social media freelancers who help us with our, engagement and monitoring all the comments and DMs, which is so helpful. Um, and we work with our photo video team. Our visual team has really grown. It used to just be one person doing photography, no videographer. So now we have, a full team that we collaborate with on that end. And so we're really, really lucky that we've had such big growth in just 3 years, but it's been awesome.
Awesome. And so you're pretty fresh out of college. So you said 2021 you graduated?
2020, December. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I graduated December 2020, and then I started working in January. But since it was 2020, we didn't have a commencement ceremony. But they invited all the classes back in 2021. And so I got to walk even as I was working full time at the university. I got to take a day off to do the full college graduation thing. So that was awesome.
You're also shooting selfies and stuff while you're
Yeah,
going. We need this
exactly.
content.
Yes. That was exactly it.
So we're talking about, I've been familiar for a little while of BGSU's short form video content. We might get into some long form. We'll just see where the wind takes us. But
Yes.
I wanted to focus this episode on your TikTok reels and shorts strategies. And so, we're sort of fresh off of a webinar that I did a month ago with Rob Clark, who works for Greenville University. And we got a lot of questions that people submitted when they registered for the webinar. And one of the questions that popped up a couple times was, I wanted to just get your opinion on is
Yeah.
short form video really necessary? Because there's a lot of buzz about, just anything, any sort of social media platform. It's I remember when social media first came out, it's everyone's you have to be on social media or else your business is going to completely tank. And or whatever. And now it's like TikToks and reels and doing like dances and funny
Right.
trends and stuff. And it's like the sentiment seems to be, if you're not doing that, you're behind. Um, but there's different schools of thought there. So I wanted to ask you, like, do you feel like short form video is 100% necessary? Can a school be successful without it? What are some of the pros and cons of doing it or not doing it?
Yeah. I really feel like, TikTok and short form video in general has changed the way that we consume social in general. And I'm a huge advocate of it. BG was the first university in Ohio to really take TikTok seriously. I think we were like the first university really in the Midwest, like posting every day. So that was like the first thing that I did when I took the role because, I'm Gen Z workforce. I wanted to like just kind of make our,
Represent.
yeah, represent exactly. I think it's one of the easiest ways to find new audiences too, who might be interested in your school or just interested in higher education in general. I especially like all that top of funnel content.
Hmm.
Um, and so now, I mean, it's been like 3, 4 years since I feel like TikTok and Reels have really took off. So it's like the algorithm has been pushing it for a while now. So I do kind of think it's like a important part of a social media strategy in general, because it's like one of the things that consumers are looking for, like when they open their, Instagram app, I feel like, or TikTok, like they're, well, obviously TikTok, but it's kind of what they expect now. It's what the consumers like are
Yeah.
expecting and want to see. So, and I think like if you, do it right, I think you can really make content that's shareable. But of course, like you can always find the wrong audience. I feel like it's easier to find the wrong audience with short form video because of the
Yeah.
algorithms. Um, and there's of course just like so much saturation, but I definitely see it as like a huge opportunity, especially for higher ed, to get
Yeah.
involved with it.
Yeah. I kind of look at it like, the question is like, is it necessary? Well, the question is really like, is getting new people in your orbit necessary? You
Yeah,
know? And so if you feel like that is true, it's like, well, do you want to take a more manual approach and go to high schools and meet people and shake hands and stuff like that, or do cold outreach, or I don't know, just whatever? Or do you want a robot to just go find you people? You just post something interesting and they'll just go find you people. um,
right,
I feel like it's going to be effort either way,
right.
if
Yeah, and I feel like you're right. It really does depend on your goals. So if it's, are you trying to elevate like student engagement, like kind of brand pride with your students on campus? I feel like short
Mhm.
form video is a great way to do that. Um, or if you're just trying to find new audiences or like increase brand awareness about like, what your university, how it's, creating good in the world. I feel like
Mhm.
that's a good way to find those new audiences, but I think it just depends on what your goals are for sure.
And when you started with BGSU's like social stuff, were you already, I mean, you're Gen Z, were you already like pretty like a consumer of the platforms, or was it something that you were you just kind of like, you already came in with like, oh, this is what's hot, like we should do this, we should do that, or were you kind of learning from scratch?
I would say a little bit of both. Like, there's obviously like a learning curve when you're like the person that starts managing a brand. Um, but I mean, yeah, I'm a huge consumer of TikTok and short form videos in general, so that really helped me, I think, especially with like, I feel like BG, something that differentiates us is like the student experience. We're the number one university in Ohio for the student experience. So I'm like, okay, how can I help elevate the student experience just through content that, makes somebody laugh or smile and like makes them proud to be, a Falcon. So
Hmm.
that's kind of like was like my approach from like the get-go is like how can I be a part of like making their college experience better in a small way. But there was so much that I had to learn because, you know, the algorithms are constantly changing. And I think like just being like my boss always told me I was a student. Like she always said, like, you're a student of social. And I really just like took that
Mm,
identity on like being a lifelong learner and not being afraid to like try something new because I don't know how to do it. Like I remember when like voiceovers, like people really started doing more voiceovers. Because it used to just be like quick little trends,
mhm.
especially on TikTok. But now, there's a lot more vlog editing styles that are popular. So just kind of learning that, being comfortable hearing my own voice, or being in front of the camera, like that kind of stuff. It's totally a learning curve.
Yeah, awesome. Quick break here to tell you about how you can scale up your student and alumni success stories without taking on a bunch of extra work to manage with our video storytelling subscriptions. Look, making even one video takes a lot of legwork. There's lots of steps to go through to hire a video vendor, herd all the cats, and then you usually get one video out of that. But what if you could do a similar amount of work, but this time get a year's worth of storytelling content that you can use across the board to highlight your various programs, where pretty much all you had to do was find the stories and hand them off, and even that will help you with. Well, at Unveiled, our aim is to take the friction out of telling great stories. So whether you're a big school or a small liberal arts college, you can tell compelling stories all year round and fill your content calendar with video content. And we can get this done for you virtually anywhere in the world, certainly anywhere in the US. The way it works is we're going to batch shoot a year's worth of content and then every month drip out to you one new student or alumni story, along with a whole package of additional video content. So you'll get the full length story, which is usually 2 to 3 minutes. You'll get a 30-second and a 15-second cut down of that story to use in various shorter contexts. And then you'll get 8 topical videos. And those topical videos are like, while we have this student sitting here on camera, let's ask them whatever we want. We'll work with your school to come up with a list of questions that touch on those things that you like to promote. So maybe it's scholarships or career development opportunities or on-campus housing or whatever it is. So that's the package of videos. You'll get that package every month, every single month. And not only can you take those polished videos that we deliver to you and crop them vertically and, make great TikToks and Reels content, but you get to keep all the raw B-roll and interview footage that we shoot. Imagine the possibilities of 12 students or alumni following them around for half a day in classes, in labs, in whatever other visual contexts. And that's just an entire library of B-roll that you get to use forever and repurpose at no extra charge. It's all included in your subscription. So head over to unveiled.tv, that's unveiled.tv, and check out our work. You can find pricing information there as well. And if you'd like to chat further, you can book a call with me on the website there, and I'd be happy to talk about how we might be able to support you and also answer any questions you may have. Okay, back to the show. So what would you say, and you said it's like the student experience is one of the content pillars. What are some
Yeah.
other pillars that BG kind of builds its social media content around?
Yeah. So I like to look at it like a couple different buckets. So like the first bucket I feel like is our, top of funnel content that's, broad appeal, it's entertaining, um, it connects with somebody's like emotion. It needs to be like relatable in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to look at, like the college experience in general. I feel like, everyone's constantly talking about more and more people are not choosing to go to college. So how can we make, college look attainable, relatable,
Yeah.
or even just like connecting with um, people who went to college, even if it wasn't BG. But I feel like, yeah, parents, students, future students, there's so much relatability opportunity there. So that's like our top of funnel content. And then of course, like, research that has broad appeal or there's like a great story. So that's like the top of funnel. And then brand pride content is what I like to call all the content that we post about that differentiates BG.
Mm.
So our brand is we're a public university for the public good. So, that means like our academic programs and partnerships with industry, that those programs are helping to meet the workforce needs of our state. So we talk a lot about that. any research that we're doing, like how is this affecting your everyday life? And
I love that.
then I know, yeah. So that honestly, it is really our brand is like easy to make it top of funnel, even if it is like the stuff that differentiates us.
Yeah.
Um, and then, other brand pride content, things like being the number one university in the Midwest, students would choose again, kind of like, you know, like a Amazon review, 5 stars.
Yeah.
That really seems to speak to future students and alumni. So I love that ranking because, alumni are like, oh, it's like the best decision of my life. And then future students are always asking current students, like, if you could go back, like, would you choose this university? And so having that ranking has been great for brand pride.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, we do a lot of event promotion. So that's always, just getting people to attend events like athletics events or student alumni focused, and then trying to like tell that story of how, um, amazing the student experience is. And then besides that, just, of course, in like enrollment, student opportunity, faculty, and alumni success. Um, those are kind of like our pillars, and it all is under this idea of being a public university for the public good.
Mm.
Um, and I think like one thing that we really try to do as a university and a brand, and that this like even starts like in our admissions office. So like we try to really sync like the admissions, like what the admissions counselors are, presenting to students and parents to what we're posting on social. So we try to focus on like, here's what we want to do for you to prepare you for success. Not like, look how great we are. Like, we have all these accreditations.
Yeah.
We're really focused on the family and the student. Here's how we're going to prepare you. We have a program called Life Design, um, which is like a huge differentiator for BG. It helps students with their transition into college and into their careers. They're meeting with like career coaches. So it's like, I feel like we're kind of ahead of our time in that area, compared to other universities. So I love finding things that make us different and just like focusing on that and, you know, community building. I feel like those are like our pillars.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, a couple things stuck out to me. One was that, like, your like top of funnel stuff. Like, one thing I noticed about about BGSU's video content is that you guys do have this brand pride stuff, but then
Hmm.
you could take that same theme, but also just kind of make it broader, and it's about college.
Yeah.
I know we'll talk about one of those examples in a few minutes here about when you guys jumped on that of course trend, and so you had one that was more
Yeah.
like, of course, like, we're college students, of course we do this, and so that's like very
Hmm.
broad emotional appeal. But then you had another one that's like, we're Falcons or something like that, of course we do
Yeah.
falcony stuff.
That one was we're Falcon Flame. So it's like if you meet and you get married, and you're both Falcons, you're Falcon Flame. So
That's awesome. So we have a
yeah.
friend of the family. I've just randomly thought of this. We have a friend of the family that's an actual falconer, and he owns a hawk. And he met a woman that he married who's also a falconer. So they both just like take their hawks like hunting for mice in the field somewhere.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so what would you advise colleges, when it comes to making content that's engaging and shareable? So you have all these ideas in these buckets, but what is it that like really makes something like have kind of a spark to it? Because I notice like I always think about content in like levels. Like, there's like, first level is
Hmm.
like, you just say the thing, like it's like,
Right.
but like second level, third level is like, you find some like, oh, that was like a really creative twist, or like a plot twist,
Yeah.
or so, like, I saw one that was like, what was it like, how, places to go if you, or it was like, places to go if you don't have a lot of money. And it was like the guy, this wasn't a college thing, it was just like, it looked like you were going to be watching like a travel thing, like, oh, these are all these travel destinations that you could get that you can get to with on the cheap. And then and he like walks out in this mountain or whatever, and it's like places you can go if you don't have a lot of money. And then it just cuts to LinkedIn, Indeed.com, Indeed.com, Monster.com. It was just, I'm like, that's like this next level of like, you just took it to a different level. So like, I don't know, what for you, like, what are some, obviously not every video is going to be like insanely clever, but like, what is it that kind of makes something have a spark that makes someone want to share that video?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that example. Like, I keep seeing all the, there's so many different, reels I keep seeing where it, like, starts with, like, somebody, like, pouring water on someone or, like, they're, like, running and, like, doing, like, a vault and gymnastics, and then it, like, just transitions to, like,
Yeah.
the social media manager. I feel like that is, like, of the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, yeah, I think just, like, you've gotta capture somebody's attention in the first 2 seconds, so if there's any type of way you can, like, build humor into your video, I feel like that is amazing. Focusing on, like, your hook. There's so many different ways to say something, so rather than just, like you said, saying what it is, like, how can you spice it up? Um, I think, like, when we're, like, building a short form video, I'll work with our student interns, and sometimes we'll have like 5 different variations of the same text until we like actually land on
Yeah.
what we want it to say. Just how can we prove it even more? Make it funnier. And I think like the big thing for me that I'm really trying to do is make something fun and entertaining for anyone, even if they don't know the trend. So, like, if you're gonna use a trend, that's amazing, but how can you make it work for, like, a a boomer or whoever, like, maybe they're, just casually, like, looking like they're a grandparent and they're looking at um, the college Instagram that their students interested in, attending, and they see this, like, weird trend, like, that's not gonna resonate with them. So
Yeah.
I think like with like universities, like you obviously have this like really broad audience. It's multi-generational. So how can you jump on trends but make it fun for people who don't know the trends? So
Yeah.
um like even like the Roman Empire trend, like
I
we
never understood
used
that. All right, can you explain that to me? Because I have never, I haven't taken the time to like Google it either, but I keep
yeah.
seeing this and I don't get it.
Okay, so yeah, we had a little flop with the Roman Empire trend. We posted it on LinkedIn, like I can't remember it was exactly, but just like something about like our campus being our alums like Roman Empire. So the idea is, um, well, there was like all this like discourse on TikTok of how all guys think about the Roman Empire every single day, and they're constantly like dissecting it or like that's just like what guys always think about. And us girls
It's
were
been a
like,
while since I thought
"What?"
about the Roman Empire.
Okay, well, that's fair. I just kind of like snowballed into this
Yeah.
thing where a bunch of girlfriends were like asking their guy friends and dads and boyfriends like, "When's the last time you thought about the Roman Empire? Or what do you think about the Roman Empire?" And then they would just go on this huge long um speech about how it's so interesting or whatever and everything that they knew about it. And so then the girlies took that and we just started saying, these are all the things that we think about constantly. So like it's like, Taylor Swift is my Roman Empire or like
Right.
whatever it is that you love is like your Roman Empire. It's what you think about all the time. Um so I
So
think
you
we did
guys had
like
a
our
flop?
yeah, we did it on LinkedIn because that's where, like, our alums are. So
Okay.
we were like, "Oh, like, uh, my college days at BGSU," it was something like that, is our Roman Empire, and there was so many comments from alum who were like, "Why would you wanna be associated with the Roman Empire?" Like, "I don't understand this at all," and I was like, "Okay, well, maybe we should keep this on TikTok and Instagram." in the
Yeah.
future, but
Yeah, you passed the generation that like missed the joke, you know,
yeah, they didn't get the
like
joke.
me.
So instead of doing that, making content for people who they might not know the trend, but it's kind of that you can get so many ideas from a trend and then just make it a little bit like easier to understand for anyone.
Yeah.
So that's kind of something that we're trying to do to like be relatable to this super broad audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the thing you mentioned about like the hooks like splashing water on somebody, because I think those
Yeah.
are I think that's an interesting way to like create a mid or bottom funnel piece of content on a top of funnel platform, because I see a lot of businesses marketing their services that way, where it's like, you know, it's like it's like I see a lot of churches doing this. One was like a
I
bull.
know. So many churches do that. I've noticed that too.
Like it's like a bull that like runs into a guy and like knocks him out of the frame, and then you see this pastor just like jumping into like all these chairs or whatever and just like falling over and then like getting up from the wreckage and being like, come to church on Sunday. You
Yeah.
know, it's funny. We did so to market that webinar, I had my kids do the splash bucket water on me, like with the coconut, like he cuts the coconut or whatever and the
Yes.
water splashes out. That took like I think 6 or 7 takes and changes of shirt, because we didn't want to I didn't want to like get the right take, but I was like wet already, you know,
Oh my
from
gosh.
the
You had to change shirts every time
yeah.
that it looked. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, it turned out good, but turns out it's a lot harder for a kid to throw a bucket of water accurately, like in the right spot, you know, when it's like a heavy thing too. So that was fun,
That's so funny.
but yeah, good stuff. So take us through. So you've got some examples, 6 or 7 of these. Take us kind of on a tour through some of BGSU's content that stands out to you. And I'd like you to tell us kind of what you learned, what stuck out to you, what was noteworthy about that piece of content.
Yeah. So kind of like in the same vein of, doing something like attention grabbing for your bottom funnel content, to kind of be top of funnel content, I guess. We did this. So our president, I get to play a pretty big role in his social presence. Um, and he loves doing videos. He's always open to do anything. Um, so we didn't do like a meme, like the, coconut, cutting the coconut in half or whatever, you guys did, but we did like the same idea. So we took like a trending sound on Instagram, and he was like looking lonely on campus, like the summer, like all the students are gone. Kind of was just looking around, like sad. And it was to the sound of, I forget like how the origin of this trend, but it's like a baby basically. The trend is like, it's usually a cap cut and it's of a baby, like kind of looking like really smart and but also like lonely. So that's what we like, that's the sound we use, and we kind of like set him up like that. And then like 3-4 seconds into the video it just like cuts and to him, giving a presidential message, of sorts, of just how excited he is for students to come to orientation, welcoming those new
Yeah.
students into the Falcon family. So that ended up getting close to 100K views. It's like his top performing post of all time.
Nice.
Um, and that he doesn't, I think he has like 8,000 followers on Instagram. So that was like a great, you know, it was
Yeah.
great for him and like great for the university. We had a lot of students, incoming and current students and alums comment on the video, as well as like random people who weren't associated with the university. So I like think that was like such a win.
Yeah, getting your president involved is a good tactic, and just a little tip for everyone that anytime you can, I have found, because I'm doing a bunch of research on for a report on what's working in higher ed video, and one of the themes that I noticed is like if you can get your president in sort of an irreverent sort of situation, maybe not like irreverent, but like doing just normal life stuff, like sitting there waiting for
Yeah.
students or whatever. Or like there's one, Central Michigan University had their president doing the gritty across the commencement stage. And,
Oh my gosh.
and it was it was like awkward, but in like a totally endearing way. That video got tons of views. Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just like not taking themselves too seriously and like, I don't know, being like, it's a great way to connect with students. One of the things that I keep seeing I really want to do, so free idea for anyone who can get their president to do this. I keep seeing like parents like saying a word and then their kids like say the word in Gen Z terms or like
Oh
whatever the
yeah.
slang is. Um, so like charm and then the kid would say like Riz, like that kind of thing. And I think that would be so fun to do with a university president and like their freshman class. A couple people or one student from their freshman class, like teaching them how to communicate with the new students or something.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, my church did something like that a couple years ago, and it was like they had like two, like I forget, I don't know who they had, but like two people that wouldn't have gotten the slang on stage, and it was like a game show contest. So it was like, all right, what does pushing paper mean? And like the or pushing pee or something like that, and and it was and then they had to like chime in and like whoever like
explain, yeah,
yeah, and they made a game out of it, but yeah,
that's awesome.
that's great. That's a good idea.
Another fun thing that our president does every year, at the beginning and the end of the semester is he gives free Starbucks to anyone that, gets there at 9 a.m. and you're in line from 9 to 10, you get, a free Starbucks. So it's great for like the first day classes and like exam week. And then he just like chats with the students as they're in line and people, it's like become this really amazing tradition that everyone wants to go talk to President Rogers. So he's really made like coffee, like coffee and coffee chats like his brand, which is awesome.
Hmm.
Great content to work with. Um, and then of course, like that's got to be like really stressful for like the dining staff, having this long line of students,
Yeah.
having to get all the Starbucks coffee. So we really like every semester we really try to go big on that Starbucks moment and really thank our Starbucks dining BGSU dining employees on his content and the official BGSU content. So that was a TikTok that we posted that went viral. We did like the sound that was like um, I don't even know what it's called. It's like it's like really fast and like it's a stressful sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh
we're
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
thank you. We're like, thank you so much to the BG Starbucks employees. You guys are amazing. Think and it was like when your president decides to like give the whole campus coffee on the first day of class or something. And so that kind of went like mini viral for us, which was awesome.
Well, that's a good example of that broader emotional appeal because it takes it from
Yeah,
something that exists only on BGSU's campus that anyone else wouldn't really. Well, it's like a big deal. I don't go to BGSU. I don't care that the president's giving out free coffee.
right.
But now it's about service workers being appreciated.
Yes.
And
Yes.
now I can get on board with that and go, oh, that's really cool that BGSU is doing this event and giving out free coffee, and what a great way to meet the president. And also, now all of a sudden I care about it.
Right. Yeah, because it's like a cool thing that, his office is giving students this opportunity to get free coffee, but it's also like, that's gotta be stressful. If anyone has ever worked in restaurants or fast food like I have, that's gotta be stressful. So yeah, just playing
Yeah,
into that.
I couldn't do it. I was a dishwasher at a restaurant once, and it was the most stressful job. Like it was like the worst paying job, and you had the most stress, and like the line cooks are like yelling for pans, and I've got like buckets of just like just with those bus buckets or whatever, like full of dishes to get through before I'm like hurrying up and getting to the pans. And I'm like there till like 1 a.m. Everyone else is gone. I'm like still doing dishes and like sweeping the floors and stuff like that. Like that kind of work is real stressful.
Yeah, it builds character for sure.
Yeah. Cool. What's next on your list?
Okay, so one of the things that we like to do, we try to do it almost every week, is those little tiny mic, mini mic videos, interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we call those our talent talks. What our brand, one of our little brand lingo is like talent up for Falcon. So we call them talent talks,
Talon.
and that's where we, go across campus and interview students. So we did, sometimes we'll do things like for brand pride, like, oh, what do you think makes BGSU the number one university for student experience? Or why did you choose BG? Or what's been your favorite Falcon moment? But one of my favorite ones we did was like more of that like debatable approach. And we did like the, what have you listened? I think it was like, have you listened to the new Taylor Swift album? And it was when Midnights came out.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like 2 years ago, and that went really well for us. It went mini viral. And it was like we asked different questions each time. Like, do you like Taylor Swift? What's your favorite Taylor Swift song? Um, Rather than just like something related to BG. But it was like such a big moment on campus for, all the Swifties. So we really like
Oh yeah.
played into that. Or if somebody had like their headphones in, we would ask them like, "Are you listening to the new Taylor Swift album? What's your favorite song?" Stuff like that. And then, of course, like there was people who were like, "No, I hate Taylor Swift."
Yeah.
So just playing along with like a pop culture moment, like the timeliness of that.
Yeah.
Um, so that was really fun. And we got the way our talent talk started was we would get we didn't have like a huge intern team, so we would get student organizations involved. Like our music industry club helped us out with that video. Um, and like our Falcon Media is our student organization for journalism students who are interested in like broadcast journalism. So like kind of just like getting people on campus involved and making it like um, a fun like just moment for them, even if they're not an intern, but getting more faces on the page and using them as like our host.
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah.
so
I noticed that you had like some different people hold the mic and stuff like that. I like the tiny mic thing too.
yeah, and like it's easy to edit, so you don't have to include all the answers, and you can just include like the most engaging answers.
Yeah.
um so that's super fun.
Are you a Swiftie personally?
I'm a huge Swiftie. Are you a Swiftie, John?
I am now. I wouldn't say I'm a Swiftie. I'm a Swiftie sort of by proxy because
Okay.
my wife and I had two daughters. They're 9 and
Girl house.
almost 7. Yeah, and a girl dog too. So I'm the only male in the house. So we listen to a lot of Taylor Swift. So I know all the words to most of the songs. I've
Whether or
seen
not
the
by choice.
yeah. You know what? Because for people listening, we had to reschedule this podcast from last week because I got like really sick. And all I could think about was like I was like, I think I'll be all right to do this podcast with Brianna. And but then I was like, if I was Taylor Swift, like there's no excuses. Like you get in a bedazzled leotard and you get out there for 3.5 hours,
And you
and
just
you
do it.
dance
Yeah.
around and you do it. I'm like, how does she? I'm like, I can't even. I had some other meetings too. I'm like, I don't even want to go to this meeting. I can't even like think straight. And I'm
No, like
like,
she is literally amazing. She's like running like a marathon every day for 3 hours while singing. It's insane.
it's
But
crazy.
yeah, I love looking at like Taylor Swift's marketing and brand strategy. It's so interesting. I feel like there's
Yeah.
a lot of like I don't know, like just like the anticipation of like her tickets, and like the exclusivity of like getting to a concert. I try to like think about that with like any like events we have on campus, or I don't know, there's just so much you can do with Taylor Swift. So
Yeah. So there's a book that I like that you might like. It's called Hook Point by Brendan Kane, and he worked with Taylor like in her early days of like really blowing up, to
wow.
something like designing the website in a way that would really hook people, and blah blah blah. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read it, but there's like a whole Taylor Swift case study in there about like how he helped her kind of like explode a little bit, and the whole book is about like how do you hook an audience, in the first 3 seconds or whatever. But anyway, that's a free book
Yeah.
recommendation.
I'm adding that to my Goodreads like immediately after this.
All right, cool. What else do you got for us?
Another one of my favorite videos we did was really honoring our staff. I feel like it's very easy to create content, for around like faculty success, like what the faculty are doing for students or their research, but we don't always do as much for our staff. So we had our photographer who's been at BGSU for like 25 years. His name is Craig Bell. He's absolutely amazing. He's like legend on campus. And he got to give his son his diploma when he graduated with his master's. It was like a year ago at our summer commencement. And so that was like the first and only commencement he did not work. So he's, every spring we have like 3 or 4 commencement ceremonies, and then we have one in the summer, 2 in the fall. So like you add that up over 25 years, that's a lot of commencement ceremonies.
Yeah.
And he's been and covered and captured the essence of every single one for so long. And so it was just like a really cool moment to kind of honor him. And, of course, like any parent giving their student a diploma is like going to be like a cute social media moment anyway. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we did it with like the song Rivers and Roads, and it was perfect.
That's awesome.
Um,
All right, so we got Minecraft too, and then you did the of course trend.
Yeah. Pretty recently we just did a Instagram reel and TikTok that went pretty viral, building Minecraft, or building our college campus on Minecraft. And so instead of like just a little tweak, instead of saying like building Bowling Green State University on Minecraft, we did like building our college campus on Minecraft, to
Mm,
try to kind of give it that broader appeal.
yeah,
And of like course, like anyone who sees like the BGSU logo in our profile picture, and like kind of like tweaking our caption, and like we tagged Minecraft, and we're gonna try to make that a series because it was just like the very beginning. And our student intern Tommy Hamlin created that, and he did such a good job. So that took him probably like 8 hours to create. So it was worth it though, because it got so many views. It hit 1 million views on Instagram last week. So we're like so proud of him for that.
cool. And
Um,
you guys had, and then you got like sort of trolled, like that you told me in our pre-interview about, by Ohio State about it.
yes. So it was such funny timing. We posted the video like early afternoon, and then 2 hours later, I noticed OSU posted the same concept. Um, and of course, like our video was just like, very our music, like the very beginning of building the campus, and they
Yeah,
posted their version that was like fully done. It was created by an alum in 2018, so they had this, ready to go. And I was just like, oh man, look at them go. Good for you. But it was kind of funny how we had posted the same thing. Um, no shade
just
to OSU. I love their content. They're so good. But I was like, why'd you have to post that the same day we did? Right at like literally like 2 hours after we did. But
I don't really have
yeah.
any skin in the game, but here in Michigan, we're not big OSU fans. So especially we're a Go Blue U of M family, so it's like the rivalry is extra intense. But I don't care. But like
Right.
some people are like, I have some friends who's like their kids call the Buckeyes, they call them the Butt Guys.
Oh my gosh.
so, so it's
It
just
was just
always
like a
funny.
total like David and Goliath moment is how I felt because
Yeah.
we're, a mid-sized university and they're huge. So it was
Yeah.
just funny. But we definitely had some people commenting like, "Oh, I just saw BGSU did this. That's interesting."
Yeah.
So I love to see the
Coincidence.
Falcons like kind of, rooting for us in the comments was nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Um, and then yeah, the last trend I wanted to talk about a little bit of was that um, the we're of course, so we touched on it a little bit, but we saw that trend and we immediately I feel like a lot of universities did it to be like, oh, we're Bobcats or oh, we're the Buckeyes. Of course, we're going to
Hmm.
XYZ. Um, and a lot of other brands too. Like there's so many things you can do with that trend. It's really fun. But we like the first time we did it, we took a really broad appeal approach. So trying to, connect with anyone who is related to the college experience. And so we did like, we're college students. Of course, we're going to Starbucks 3 times a day or like things like that. And we had a lot of fun with it. Our students, we had like 3 or 4 students help create that. And it, performed really well. It was one of our top performing videos of the year. So
Hmm.
that's like that top of funnel content. And then the next time we did it, we did We're Falcon Flames. Of course, we're going to comment on how much campus has changed every time we visit. Or, of course, we considered having our wedding at Prout Chapel, which is like our on campus like chapel.
Hmm.
So there's like really niche things
Yeah.
to people who have gone to BG. And that also performed really, really well. I think that got like 50, 60K views, which is pretty good for an organic reach for us. Um, but yeah, I think like there's a place for both of those things. And we've done it with like, people who are in student teaching. So that's kind of like hitting on a little bit of both, like the broad appeal, anyone who is a teacher or is studying to be a teacher. But then also we added a few things that are specific to BG in that video. Um, and so I feel like that was like one where we like started the video with like broad appeal, and then as it went on, we started sprinkling in more things unique to BG that differentiates it. So I think just like kind of playing around with that idea of like top of funnel content has been like so it's made a huge impact on our reach.
Yeah.
Um,
So are you guys on TikTok and Instagram like equally, or do you kind of focus on, or in shorts too, I guess we'll throw in there. Are you
yeah.
do you have one that's kind of like the more laser focused for you, or are you kind of just like, do you like repurpose across the board kind of equally?
So we create content specific for TikTok and specific for Instagram. We really haven't gotten to the point where we're like jumping on YouTube Shorts trends yet, but that's like a goal for this year is to like either like hire an intern or like kind of get to that capacity where we're creating content for the Shorts platform specifically. Um, but we have content that we overlap. So like anything we post on Reels and TikTok, we'll post it on Shorts. But then
Hmm.
we'll also have things. So like for TikTok and Instagram, those are like our main focuses. Um, we'll create something just for TikTok or just for Instagram, and we won't post it on the other platform.
Mm.
Or we'll take the video and repurpose it for if it's an Instagram Reels trend, we'll post it on TikTok with a TikTok trend. So it's like the same concept, but totally like optimized for TikTok, if that makes sense.
Okay, what would you say is like what's the difference? Like how do you
Yeah.
think about optimizing differently for both platforms?
Yeah. So we try our best to, use the Instagram fonts or the TikTok fonts versus, um, I don't even know, like using like a CapCut or a Canva font,
Yeah, yeah.
or using like Instagram fonts on TikTok and vice versa. We try to like download the video before, um, before we do like
Before
the
you
text
put
on
any
screen.
yeah, any text, yep.
Yeah, because that like those kind of things like really do help with like the algorithm. Like I definitely think the algorithm once the platforms want you to edit some part of your video in the platform. So it doesn't have to be the whole thing, but like this is like super niche, but for some reason if we post anything on our TikTok page that's under 6 seconds, it gets like 200 views. Like
Hmm.
that's it. That's like the cap. So we know that on like Instagram Reels, you can get away with like posting like a 3-second video and it just loops and loops and you can get tons of views that way. Um, but for some reason on TikTok, I don't see this on my personal account. I only see it on the university account. If we post something that's under 6 seconds, it gets no reach at all.
Hmm.
So we always try to make our videos like, 8 or 9 seconds, at least. And then, we try to mix in like, the shorter videos with like 1.5 minute videos. Like we'll do day in the life vlogs, mini mics, or not even just like day in the life, but like a vlog style video that's like has a hook, it's interesting, whether it's like a tour of campus or a video about like an academic program. But having a good mix of like super short form videos and like it's still short form, but it's like a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Um, so that you're like giving the algorithm everything that it wants to see. Um, and you're seeing that more and more. Like Instagram is starting to like push more like voiceovers, vlogs. Like they want you to like be talking to the camera. And I feel like it used to only be like 2, 3, 4, 5 second videos and that's it.
Yeah.
But they're starting to push those vlogs. So
I find that the algorithms are very different between TikTok and Instagram, and I haven't really cracked the code yet. But I've just been having fun. Just like a fun experiment for me has been marketing this podcast through TikTok and Instagram. So I
yeah.
have at Higher Ed Storytelling on TikTok, and then I think it's at Higher Ed Storytelling University on which is the full name of the podcast on Instagram. And I noticed like something that'll take off on TikTok will just completely tank on Instagram. Like, and I
Yeah.
don't know what the difference is. And like, even just like, I'm like doing the text natively within the platform, like you mentioned. So like, I did one that was like, like my audience is like higher ed leadership, that
Right.
would, and marketing leaders, marcom leaders. So I did one that was like a scene from Dumb and Dumber, and he was like pulling up, Jim Carrey like pulling up, and the caption said like, you're a selective college that's like struggling with enrollment numbers or something like that. And then Jim Carrey's like, we don't normally pick up hitchhikers, but saddle up, partner. And that did really well, like on TikTok. I mean, really well by
Mhm.
my standard. We have like 70 followers on, on TikTok. I don't really pay much attention to it, but like sometimes
Right.
I'll experiment with it. But it did
Yeah.
pretty good. It did good. And then I posted the same thing over and tweaked it a bit for Instagram. I think it got like 16 views or something. I mean, it's like the difference is like astronomical, and there's
Right.
something in that algorithm that it doesn't like, from one platform to the other, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. But
Yeah.
um
I think like, well, I mean, you probably already know this, but like one thing I always like think about is like, I feel like Insta or TikTok is usually like a week ahead of the trends before, like a week or 2 weeks before it hits Instagram Reels, and then it's like another 2 weeks before it hits like YouTube Shorts.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll like try to like if we have something that pops off on TikTok, we won't always post it like right away on Instagram,
Okay.
and vice versa. So like timing, and like also like using like the trending sounds. Like on TikTok, we try to do things that are like I see like a ton of people have used the same sound in a short amount of time, or it's like just everybody is doing it, and then like
Yeah.
your audience wants to see your take on it.
Yeah.
And then of course like Instagram, like those they're so they make it so easy to pick the trending sounds. But I do think like using trending sounds that have under like 5K uses does like help a lot. I've
Yeah.
That's what we did with the Minecraft video. Like we didn't use the Minecraft sound. We used like some like trending USA vibes sound, and it
Yeah.
was great.
So I'm gonna jump into some like rapid fire questions here.
Okay.
But on that note, how does BGSU go about like navigating copyright issues with trending songs and stuff like that? Because I know TikTok is like kind of its own thing. Like they've got their own like library and stuff like that. But I know I've had this question come up um, a few times from people that I've talked to, is like as a organization with a commercial appeal or whatever, like you have a commercial bias or whatever, like you're trying to get people to pay money to enroll at your school, and
Right.
are you allowed to use a song that's like some a sound that's from a popular movie, or a song that's a a popular, like a Beyonce song or something like that, like how do you guys navigate those issues?
For sure. So we do our best to follow the rules that the platform set. But like we're not afraid to use a song that was uploaded by a user that has like a mix of like beyond. It's like a remix song that we'll use those a lot, and that's what I see a lot of other brands and universities doing as well. But you can't on like a business page, you can't just use like let's say like Sabrina Carpenter's espresso. You can't just use like espresso. You have to
Hmm.
use like a sped up version or a remix version, um, which is totally fine because those are the sounds that are usually trending anyway. So it hasn't been too much of an issue for us. But let's say we're posting something on, you know, Twitter. What we'll do if we're like taking like a TikTok video to Twitter, we will either download the video with no like TikTok watermark,
Yeah.
and we'll change the sound to be like copyright free, or we've played around with like posting the video with the TikTok watermark, so you can tell like, oh, this is from TikTok. We're not like ripping off the sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so those are just two different ways that we've done it. And we haven't run into any issues yet. So fingers crossed it stays that way.
Yeah,
I'm always afraid of getting like shadow banned.
yeah, it's I saw some video that I don't know who it was, like Sony or something, sued some creator over using some song for commercial purposes. But honestly, it just seems like everyone's just using stuff, and it's just part of the
Yeah,
culture. It's just part of the culture. It's like just kind of how we communicate now. So it's tough. It's definitely like very great copyright stuff. Even in you get into long form stuff, with like using
right.
archive footage from the news or whatever, or certain music. It's a gray area.
Yeah.
So it's tough to
When it
navigate.
comes to like the long form videos, we're pretty like with our like visual team, like we're pretty like, copyright free music only. And there's, great tools out there to get good music, but it does make such a big difference if you can link it to a trending sound, even if it is long form. So we've played around with that too.
Yeah. So what one question that came up from our people that are attended our webinar a bunch of times was, what's the ratio of posting like fun and trendy stuff versus more informational stuff, or like come to this event, or apply now, or whatever? Like how do you guys think about that? Or is it just like 100% fun trendy stuff on short form platforms for you guys?
So we try to make everything fun and trendy, even if it is informational. So I really try not to look at it as like two separate things. I'm like, how can we optimize the informational content to be fun and trendy? Um, so that you're converting like people to like come to your event, or um, get involved, or whatever it is, like apply, sign up for whatever your call to action is, and you're still you're entertaining them. I think it's hard to do both, but we do try in every piece of our content, even like research. Like, how can you, like, we're really big. One of the research areas that BGSU is really great at is like our water quality research.
Mm,
So that's something that we have like amazing scientists who are helping to improve water quality, studying like the algal blooms in Lake Erie and Lake Victoria, and like even just like small little, you know, caption tweaks. I don't know. There's always a way that you can spice something up to make it a little bit more fun, even if it's like a very serious topic.
yeah.
But we try to take our fun very seriously.
Yeah, there's always an opportunity to just make it about something else, that while you're serving the information, but like make it
Yeah,
connected to some sort of more fun or deeper emotion or something like that.
for sure. Yeah. But it is hard. So if I had to say like an exact ratio, I would probably say like, I don't know, like 50-50. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to you have to do that. You can't just do fun trendy content for the sake of fun trendy content. You have to have all that informational
Yeah.
pieces, like whatever your strategic goals are at university, like that you have to have a huge presence of on your social, um,
Yep.
because that's like the most powerful platform to achieve those results most
Yep.
of the time.
So, last question for you is, a lot of our audience manages people doing this work. And so as someone who's, you're a member of a team, but you have a lot of autonomy. But I presume you have, you have to run some things by some people above you.
Yeah,
What do you feel like what makes you thrive? Like how are you set up to thrive in your environment? What do you need from leadership? Like what would you like talk to the people that are managing people like you,
yeah,
and talk about like what makes this successful from that perspective?
yeah. That's like such a good question. I think like my boss, Amy, she's the AVP of our office, so she's like managing a lot of different teams. Um, so she's like, she's spread thin. Like she has to think about our and our overall enrollment strategy and how social media like affects that. And I think like the biggest thing that has like set me up for success with her is just like having like, you know, conversations about like what our office is in the universities, like strategic goals, like everything has to be tied back to the strategic plan that we do. So like the university strategic plan, and like she's really, really good at communicating like our presidents and the board's like priorities. Like it all comes from the top down. And I even like go through that every couple weeks with like our students. Like, so I think just like having that really clear communication, how is success going to be measured? Like what are her expectations? And but the biggest thing is like she like really trusts me to set a lot of those benchmarks. And I
Mm,
think like just like having somebody like showing your team that you trust them is like the best feeling in the world. Like it gives you like creative freedom and like empowerment to try new things and take risks, mindfully, of course. Like, but I think like also just like having a really close connection with her. Like, what are the risks? What is like the hot topic things that are happening maybe across campus that, you know, that are happening among like the faculty, like that the student interns aren't going to like tell me about. But
Hmm.
like she's communicating like, oh, here's like the state legislator, like um here's what's going on with like state legislators and faculty, and I'm communicating with her, okay, here's the vibe with the students. So like having that like super open communication helps her do her job better, and the social media team do our job better. And so I think, yeah, just like open communication, trust, like have confidence in your social media team that you know, they know what they're doing, and
Hmm.
they're um it's you know, it's their jobs are like their jobs can be fun, but they're not like, you know, like everything that they're doing is like strategic, even if it seems like silly or fun, like a fun piece of content. Like we did like we did a couple weeks before the whole presidential thing, but we did
Hmm.
like the brat summer trend, and it did so well. It's not just like a, silly stupid post. Like there's like strategy that goes behind it, and
Yeah.
even if like she doesn't, get the trend or understand, like she's not like, why would you post this? She's never like questioning me in that kind of way. She's always just like, I want to learn more. Like, and I think like that trust and confidence like goes such a long way. Um, and just like,
Yeah.
yeah, open communication. So,
Yeah. Sort of have, I mean, with managing social media, you have to have it be pretty autonomous. Cause I mean, I've been in jobs before where, um, like my first job out of college, I was doing some content stuff, but like more just because I wanted to, not because
yeah,
anyone expected me to. But like there were so many approvals, and
yeah,
I was like the inspiration's gone by the time you read this
yeah.
blog post 2 weeks later, you know.
That seems
So
to be like such a huge theme in higher ed is like the approvals. And I think that like one of the biggest reasons that we've been able to have like the success and growth that we have at BG is because like our our leadership kind of gets out of our way, and they like
mhm,
trust us to do the job, because and if ever there is anything that we're like, not sure about this, or maybe they'll be upfront and say, hey, like we need to get approval on this post before we need to like run it by legal, or we need to run it by XYZ. So there's definitely like projects like that where we have to like have things
yeah.
um with oversight. But the majority of the time we're pretty much, you know, posting things without approval. And that comes with like sometimes like a risk, like, but we also like the other thing is like I always try to loop in our campus partners. So like, and I'm not perfect at this by any means, but as I've been in this role longer, I've found that I'll have more success if I'm going to post something niche about life design or niche about our biology program. I should probably send it to like the director of the biology program first, so that they can like
Right.
fact check everything. Not everything that's on the website has been updated in the recent years. So that's something I learned like early on, is to just try to get to know your campus partners and let them feel like they're part of, and ask for ideas from them too. Like if there's anything, you know, any like, differentiators or things you want to highlight, always feel free to send us, ideas. And I think that's really helped as well.
Cool. Well, this has been awesome. It's been super great chatting with you. Where can people connect with you at if they have questions or just want to say hey?
Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn, Brianna Blackburn, and then I am on Instagram and TikTok, Brianna L. Blackburn. So you can find me there. And then follow official BGSU on everything.
Yeah, it's great. So in that webinar, people were asking one of the questions was, how do you keep up on trends without like scrolling for hours and hours? And I was like, well, you could just follow some like accounts of colleges that are keeping up on trends, and
Yeah.
I name dropped you guys. I was like, just follow,
Aw,
BGSU or
that's awesome.
CMU and some of these other ones, because it is that's a hack. That's a shortcut. Just let Brianna follow the
Totally.
trends, and you just kind of pick up on it. So, well, cool. Yeah, thanks so much for being here. It's really great talking to you.
It was so good talking to you. Thank you so much. I always love following your podcast.
Thanks for listening. 3 things I want to give you before you go. Number 1, reminder to sign up for my free weekly newsletter, all about creating content that resonates emotionally with your audience. And you can do that at unveiled.tv/newsletter. Unveiled is spelled UNVEILD. Number 2, if you've enjoyed this episode, share it with someone. Share it with your team, your boss, your dog, whatever. And if you're not already subscribed, I'd love for you to do that. Number 3, reach out to me. If you have comments, questions, you want to talk about a video project, whatever, my email is john@unveiled.tv. John is spelled JOHN. Or follow me on LinkedIn. If you're searching for me, my last name is spelled AZONI. That's all for today, and I look forward to catching you on the next episode of the Higher Ed Storytelling University podcast. Thanks.